Hello and welcome to Overview Overwatch. So this is the channel where I get to sit down with some members of the Overwatch community, and today I'm joined by none other than sHockWave, former hit scan for Titans, Fusion, currently on XO. Did very well there recently through the B-sides and Run It Back series. So sHockWave, the starting question for everyone here. I'm not going to change it for yourself. Who would you decide is your main?
I think right now it's probably Sojourn because he's been kind of broken, I would say.
A little bit.
But overall, I mean, I like Ashe and Widow, more like traditional hit scans, but I'll probably have to go with Sojourn right now.
And just touching on Ash, then, do you think there's any kind of balance changes you'd make to Ash to maybe bring her up in the meta a little bit?
Mm, I don't know. I think right now there's actually like most heroes are actually kind of good, but it just is the case that Sojourn can just do a lot more. I think the main thing is just Sojourn's shift. It's so short,
Mm,
so she works just like a hit scan, but she can jump away so often. Where
yeah,
you compare to Grapple or Coach Gun, like if Monkey jumps an Ash and she Coach Gun, then he can just wait a bit and he can jump her and she's most likely gonna die. But Sojourn kind of like the cooldown is almost the same, so you just keep jumping away. So I think just the cooldowns kind of make it hard for heroes like that to be good. So
fair. So, Shockwave, I mean, you've had quite a tenured career here, a lot of time in Owl and doing fantastically well in EU contenders. But when did you decide you wanted to go pro?
mm, well, I was in a sixth form college. It's called Gymnasium in Denmark, and it was kind of halfway through. I started playing a bit more Overwatch, and I mean, I've always felt that kind of natural talent towards just games. Like if it was on mobile or whatever in my school class, I would always be that guy. um, but like towards the middle of it, I actually thought about dropping out. Um, but it's like I was kind of halfway through it, and then I told my parents, and I was like, let's just finish it, kinda. And then
Mm,
when I graduated um, in 2019, the summer, I just went like full grind, all in. No job, no nothing, just playing Overwatch all day. And then yeah, it kind of took half a year before I had my contenders debut. So yeah, around that time.
And would you believe that kind of contenders debut was a turning point in your career for the Overwatch League, or do you think it was just kind of a gradual grind from 2019?
I mean, I think I got. I mean, it was a mix of both my skill, but also kind of got like some luck involved in it. Um, because the metas that were that time in contenders were pretty hit scan favor. At that time when it was like double shield Hanzo, and then Hanzo was just he's the guy that kind of kills everyone. And he's all over the kill feed, so everyone
Mm.
thinks like, oh, this guy kills everyone. And then after that, it was the complete crazy machine gun Kree where he just went like he shot crazy fast, right?
Oh yeah.
And he was also all over the kill feed in that meta, so that helped a bit, I think. But also then because of COVID, and then that Vancouver roster kind of imploded, and then yeah, we got a chance there, some Western players there. So yeah, it's a mix, I think, of luck
Mm.
and skill. So
Yeah. And I mean, I think it takes a decent amount of luck to get into that position for everyone, the, the Overwatch League is a pretty tight, small circle, to actually get into. So, props to getting in there with that bit of skill that you had. And looking back then at your time in L, you were on the Fusion, but you, I'd say, probably had a more stable position on the Titans, I think would be fair enough to say. Um, I think you were quite the showman for the Titans. So how would you kind of compare being on those two teams?
I mean, it's kind of night and day. To be fair, I think uh, it was kind of like a good way to get into the league and show myself off, right? Because it's like I think for Western, especially DPS, like to get in a top team, obviously you have to be good, but you also like usually you get in on a budget team, and then you hopefully have a really good debut season. Uh, and in my case, I was pretty lucky that I was like a free agent after that season, and I was almost there for what, like half a season. So it was almost like perfect like scenario, right?
Mm.
To get in quick, show myself off like that, and then land a team like Philly. But um, yeah, I think it's huge different. Obviously, both in the players there, but also just the coaching staff. I think it's complete night and day difference. So.
And even, you mentioned the players and the coaching staff there, but what about in terms of like a team culture? Did you find that there was more kind of camaraderie in one over the other?
I mean, like obviously people are different, and you bond different with some people. I think both teams we got along. I think like pretty well. But I think especially Danes and Koreans for some reason kind of click well together. I think it's just their
Okay.
culture, like their sarcasm, their way of being, drinking culture. Pretty they go pretty hard, and we do as well. So I think
uh,
some
okay,
good
brilliant.
similarities there.
Yeah, brilliant. But most recently you were on the Ex Oblivione team that just kind of, I mean, to put it lightly, you did very well in Europe.
Yep.
You know, how did you stay motivated for 2 seasons of contenders? When you're very much at the top of that region.
Yeah, that's actually a good question because, um, like first when we won the first one, and I think we got a bit close in the finals.
Mm,
Um, because I think you know we were like first time in final. Like the day before, we beat the same team. We met 3-0, right?
yeah.
And then because if we lost, we knew we could still make it, so there wasn't like really a lot of pressure. But I think the day after in the grand finals, it was complete dogfight, right? Like it was like a very close
Mm.
match.
It's 4-3, I think, or something like that,
Yeah,
wasn't it?
for
Yeah.
free. But I mean, just like the scrims up to like the practice, is not really that close. But like in terms of motivation, I think the second the running back series here, I think everyone could kind of feel sometimes that I wouldn't say we got lazy, but there were some times where we were just playing that it was sometimes it was like a bit more autopilot
Mm,
because it was kind of too easy sometimes.
yeah.
Um, so yeah, I think the biggest question is like going forward now because this was like kind of while I was still going on, so there wasn't like much else to do, right? But now in hopes of maybe getting picked up or something, then like it gets to a certain point where you gotta like I don't it will get like a bit more demotivating over time, right? If you're
Yeah.
just stuck, um, and because you can't obviously qualify your way into the league, right?
Yeah.
Um, but it also gets to a point because like the practice isn't the greatest, right?
Mm,
So like for me, I know my oppositions, like other hit scans in OWL, they will daily scrim OWL DPS, right? And they will have probably good coaching, most of them, and they will exponentially improve. And then I sit here and scrim, tier two, and some
yeah.
of them can be like okay, but it's not the same
It's
level,
not the
right?
same
Like
level of
it,
practice. Yeah.
yeah, I think it is a huge difference. So like in terms of overall skill, then you will always fall behind, like gradually, right?
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, it's in a bit weird spot
Mm.
right
Yeah,
now.
I think and that's something you did a fantastic interview with Yiska on the GGRecon channel, and I'll post a link to that in the description. But that was something you touched on in that interview as well, and I think it's a really important point, that makes getting into Overwatch League from Europe really difficult. Because even if you're in
Yep.
the top of contenders, NA and Korea, you do have access to those Overwatch League teams as well. Um, but I guess it just makes something like the signing of Sauna from Finland that bit more impressive, I think, nowadays. Um, but yeah, I mean, look, it's not all doom and gloom in the off season though, and we are getting treated to a European Invitational. So we have 8 closed qualifier teams going to that, and I believe you're selected as the captain for Team Denmark. Um, Danish Mafia, I think was the name of the.
Yep.
So, how does Danish Mafia expect to do in this tournament?
I mean, I think could pretty easily get top two without a doubt. I think the only way we can lose maybe someone practices or tries harder than we do. But I think just on paper and just overall, I think we should be the favorites.
Mm,
But I think it depends on meta because there's some metas where
yeah.
if you have good players, if you have like good macro, good strategy, and they have way more practice, then someone can maybe surprise. But
Mm.
I doubt it.
Is there any teams on your radar that might take that spot away from you?
I mean, I think the only team I would look a bit at is maybe the UK team. I think I don't I don't really see any other teams. Not that I can think of at least.
Mm.
So yeah, that'll probably be the only one.
Yeah, you mentioned there, the only thing really setting you aside is if another team practices a little bit harder than you, or trains a little bit harder than you. You haven't announced a coach. So was this a conscious decision, or how did that come to be?
I mean, we just kind of saw an opportunity to play full Danish team, and I've personally never played full Danish team, so I thought it'd be kind of fun. Also, just anytime you go somewhere like LAN, and in person, it's always more fun.
Mm.
Um, but yeah, in terms of coaching, yeah, we don't really have one. I don't necessarily think we need one because I think most of us just fresh out of the like competition in contenders, kind of know what's going on.
Mm.
So yeah, I don't think it will be necessary. So yeah, that is a conscious decision.
Okay, well that's good to hear at least. So is there any team you're most looking forward to coming up against?
Yeah, I mean that would probably have to be we call them the Danish B team, which is the Danish Dynamite.
Yeah.
I think they're called. Yeah. I mean, obviously, just playing versus other people from your same
Mm.
nationality, it's always fun.
Yeah.
But I mean, beating some of the French people at their own place, own land, own tournament, could also be kind of fun. So
That's fair. Yeah,
yeah,
I think that would be good. All right. Yeah, Danish Dynamite. They're running through the open qualifiers now, and I think they're doing quite well for themselves. At the last time I checked, but yeah, hopefully we might see a bit of Dane on Dane action in LAN. Could be interesting. But it's not just about the European Invitational. If you want to talk big picture here, the Overwatch World Cup was announced not so long ago. Now we haven't heard too much about what's going on with that as of right now. But how do you feel Denmark are going to do in the Overwatch World Cup?
I just think we have a pretty good shot at going pretty far. I think uh, if you just look at the rosters and the names, I think EU, I think, well, I mean, Western teams, I think you can count like us and Saudi, I think, as being
Mm,
like can potentially make pretty good rosters. Other than, I'm not, I'm actually not sure about Canada. I haven't really thought of that team, but probably, USA,
yeah,
Korea, and China, and then uh, I'll probably rank us like up there, maybe top four, top five.
fair.
Um, honestly. Uh,
Yeah, I mean
It's not
on
like we have a lot of players. Don't not necessarily have a lot of players, but I think we have like kind of just perfect like amount of
yeah,
players. Like we have like one or two on like each
yeah.
role. So
Yeah, when speaking to Cloudy there a couple of weeks ago, he reckoned he could make maybe, I think it was 4 to 7 European teams that would do decently well. Looking at the rest of Europe here, what do you think? Do you think that was a fair assessment, or maybe a bit generous?
I think that's a bit generous. I think I don't really I don't really know. I could think of like maybe like I mean if like the Benelux or like I don't know if
Mm,
they count like if it's only Netherlands, if they can make something there.
Fair.
I don't know. I'm not too sure. I feel like it's probably maybe us, then Saudi, then France. I think.
Yeah.
But think being honest, I think it's only us and Saudi. Um, I
Yeah.
think that would like at least be could put up a fight. I think against the
The
other
the big
top three.
dogs, the South
Yep.
Koreas, the USA's. Yeah, fair.
Yep.
Look, Shockwave, I won't keep you much longer. Do you have any final words for us?
I mean, just look forward for us playing full Danish squad. Hopefully, when we make it to the place I will, we're gonna do some fun stuff. So yeah, just keep an eye out for that, I guess.
Brilliant. And Shockwave, who would you like to see me interview next?
Oh, well, it'd probably have to be probably someone from EXO. That would have and that's going as well. Maybe like someone like Crandup or
Yeah, another captain,
yes,
I believe, isn't he?
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. That would be kind of fun just to hear his opinions on certain things.
Mm.
And I mean he is an opponent as well, so yeah.
Yeah. Well, look, hopefully I can get involved with a couple more of the captains for the EU Invitational, and we'll get some differing opinions. Maybe they have some things to say about Denmark as well. We'll never know. But
Yep.
look, Shockwave, thank you very very much for taking your time to come chat with me. It's been a pleasure. I will definitely be looking forward to seeing Denmark compete. Thank you everyone for tuning in to another episode of the Overview podcast. And you can catch this one and hopefully some more of the EU Invitational stuff going live on Wednesdays in future. Thank you again, Shockwave, and take care.
No problem.